of the things that I want to run through with you real quick, we were working on in some classes, but we didn't get to with everybody. An easy way to study things that you have to keep in sequence is to construct a flow chart. It's an easy visual. It doesn't take a lot of time to put together. And if you want just a quick visual for what leads to something else and that leads in, where does this go? It's a nice way to set everything up. Can be a little bit faster to use than your notes.
So it's a good way of charting flows.
Well, okay.
All right.
All right, so if we start with the very first part of Unit 5, the first civilization that we studied as a forerunner to the Greeks was the Minoans. Okay? And the Minoan civilization lent a lot of cultural aspects to the Mycenaeans.
That word is difficult to spell.
There's a lot of AEAs in here. All right, so some of the stuff the Mycenaeans got from the Minoans would be written language that they borrowed and adapted, a lot of the religion, the gods, the ceremonies, the styles of pottery and art, the reliance on sea travel and sea trade. So really, it's a lot of borrowing, it's a lot of adaptation, a lot of the good stuff that they get from the Minoans. Very different people, though. Minoans, very peaceful, fun-loving, outdoorsy, bull leaping, all of that good stuff. Mycenaeans, very warlike. One of the things that you want to associate with the Mycenaeans is a Trojan War, which isn't going to really lead us into anywhere else, but it is a good way to think of them and a good way to remember them. And we do know what is believed to be, today, the location of Troy. So there may be some truth behind the fact that the Mycenaeans were at war with the Trojans. Could have happened. All right. When the Mycenaean civilization is starting to decline, we have the Dorians come in. And at this point, Greece enters its dark age. The term is called dark age because you can think of it as the light of learning has gone out, if you want to be really flowery. In other words, they lose literacy, the ability to read and write. You don't have histories being produced, and everything just kind of comes to a screeching halt. And, they'll have to pick up with that stuff later. Coming out of the Dark Ages and moving into what we think of as mainstream Greek history, we have two dominant city-states. We've been talking about them a lot. They are Athens and Sparta.
Sparta!
Thank you for playing. All right.
As long as you recognize that it is, in fact, playing.
And there are lots of things we can talk about with Athens and Sparta, but I will come back to them in a little bit. A lot of cultural and political and military stuff. Okay? So that's the whole first part of your notes. If you can get through this sequence, then that's like the whole first chunk. The next thing that I want to pick up with is the Persian Wars. Messy up there at the top. Sorry about that.
Hey, those are the ones where they fought that 9-foot tall guy with all the earrings, right? Or was that just in the movie?
I think that was a Hollywood thing.
Really? You mean Xerxes wasn't 9 feet tall with a voice that was 3 octaves deeper than a human being's?
Stop. Okay. For the Persian Wars, we can look at it. Some books will call it Persian War, but it's really two separate things. You have two separate invasions by two separate Persian emperors. So we're going to split this. We're going to have the first invasion, and we're going to have the second invasion. Very conveniently numbered that way. All right, for the first invasion, we have Darius. Darius decides that he needs to go and conquer the Greeks. They've really ticked him off because the Athenians have gone over into the Persian Empire and helped the Ionians revolt. So Athens helps the Ionians revolt. And while they're there, they burn Sardis. Sardis, remember, is one of your two cities that was an endpoint of the royal road, so it's kind of a big deal to the Persians that they burned Sardis. And Darius cannot let this go unpunished, so you gotta do something about it. So that's our first invasion. Second invasion, Darius is gone. Now it's his son, Xerxes, who has, I think, one of the coolest names in all of antiquity. Now, Xerxes is going to invade Greece because he feels like he needs to finish what Darius started. Now, when we talked about Darius in an earlier unit with the Persian Empire, he seemed like a pretty okay guy, but now, in this unit, he's a bad guy. One of the things we said about him before was he never conquered Greece. Well, he didn't. And that's why Xerxes is going to go in and try to get it for him. All right. Two different invasions, two different Persian emperors. That's our starting point here.
Neither of them 9 feet tall.
Thank you. All right. Now, in terms of battles that you need to know, you've got to be able to separate these between the first and second invasion, and you've got to put them in order. There's only 4 of them that you're responsible for this. In the first invasion, you need to remember Marathon. Marathon was a battle fought on land. It was won by the Athenians. When the Athenians won, they needed to get word back to Athens. They sent the runner Phidippides, who gets there, tells them the news, drops dead. Marathon's about 26 miles from Athens, hence the name of the modern Marathon. Where we get it from. All right, so Marathon won by Athens. In the second invasion, the first battle that you need to know, probably very familiar with this by now, is Thermopylae.
You have to admit, even though the movie's not very historical,
Very entertaining.
it's a really great story, too.
All right. Thermopylae, of course, you have this drastically outnumbered Greek force, started with a few thousand Greeks from other city-states, and they all leave, and you end up with 300 Spartans getting slaughtered by the Persians. Next battle, Salamis. Naval battle, massive victory for the Athenians, and the last one, Plataea. Remember AEA in there. Plataea was a land battle won by the Spartans, and Plataea was significant for Sparta because they killed the Persian general Mardonius, who was one of the Persian commanders at Thermopylae that was responsible for slaughtering the famous 300 Spartans. So, by Plataea, we can add that in here. They killed Mardonius. Well, he sort of fits. All right, there we go. And that gets us through the main part of the Persian War.